Hi, my name is Clark Gathright. I'm here at the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences, and today we're going to be talking about the plugin RMPro from ReMasterMedia Pro. We've had the pleasure of working with them for the past couple of months. They gave us the plugin to sort of experiment with it and learn from it and see what our thoughts were. And so here today we'll be putting those down to paper and sharing them with you. Alrighty, so working with this plugin for the past couple months, one of the things that we all noticed was how easy it is to learn and use. There's not a whole lot of controls. There's basically 5 main controls and then an on-off button. So we were moving through it very simply, very quickly. But let's dive in and sort of look at our controls. Like I mentioned, we have the on-off button here right in the middle. Just acts as a bypass. If you want to check whether what you've done with the plugin is good, you can bypass it on and off real quick, real easy. Next, we'll look at the processing knob. This is where you would add more or less of the algorithm that the profile you've selected has. ReMasterMedia Pro recommended to us that we leave it somewhere near the middle, be sort of gentle-handed with this knob, but you have a lot of range here from the top to the bottom. Next, we'll look at the output ceiling. It's sort of what you would see on a limiter, but this acts as a control for the output level of your signal through RMPro. And next, we'll look at the stereo enhancement. This is a very unique feature that you don't see in many plugins out now at all. This will absolutely explode a mix. If you think your stereo mix is wide, this is gonna change your thoughts. It's very unique and it opens things up like you've never heard before. And lastly, we'll look at the bass and treble controls. These act basically as high and low shelf EQs, but they are catered toward the profile that you have selected. So they won't be too aggressive in the frequencies that the profile doesn't want to attenuate or boost. It'll guide your lows and highs to that formula that the profile has. And lastly, we'll look at the profiles that we have in the first version of RMPro. We have 5 profiles right now: Master Shine, Crystal Clarity, Power Punch, Balanced Depth, and Rich Warmth. And we'll take some time to check out each of these here in just a moment. All right, so here in this session, we have RMPro loaded up on our master track, and we have immediately following it an instance of Insight to sort of check my levels after the plugin, make sure that everything is true to what I'm seeing otherwise, and make sure that my master is coming out the way I want it to. Alrighty, so let's check out the first profile here called Master Shine. For testing, we have this track called Sick of the Fluff. It's a little funk rock track that I really like. So let's check it out. So first I'll play through with the plugin off, and then we'll check out some of the features of the plugin while we listen. All right, so here we go. Here's the plugin off. All right, let's put RMPro in there.
I'm saving away for a brand new shirt, 'cause you know that my own.
All right, so right away we noticed there's a little bit of a level jump there. I liked immediately what it did to the mix. It really brought that bass out, really brought the drums up. The voice, I think, of the vocals really stood out immediately. And one of the things I did was just sort of gently control the processing. I just kind of wavered a little bit either side of the processing and then brought the bass down a little bit just because I thought, it's pretty strong. Could be just my headphones. But let's check out the mix again here with these settings, and I'll pop in the stereo enhancement. All right, here it comes.
The other day, I'm saving away for a brand new shirt, 'cause you know that my old one's starting to look like and smell like dirt. I'm taking my...
Immediately, so much wider. You can already tell. It's kind of impressive because the mix on its own doesn't sound like it's very thin right up the middle. It's a standard mix. It's pretty good. And adding the stereo enhancement immediately opens it up. It's like twice the size. It's a pretty impressive feature. Now, one thing you may notice is that it got so wide that it might not fit your mix. And what we can do in that case is, if we feel like it's a little too wide, we can just listen to it and actually bring back the effect of the stereo enhancement. Bring bring it back more towards the
'Cause you know
center,
that my old ones starting to
somewhere where we feel like it's a little bit more appropriate. And that's a really great feature of this plugin that I think is something that people will be very, very excited about. Alrighty, so let's check out the next profile called Crystal Clarity. Our track here that we'll be listening to is just a mono audio track, so we're going to skip stereo enhancement for this. I already know that this profile brings out a lot of extra level, so I'm going to bring our output ceiling down about 5 dB, and we'll leave our processing right there in the middle. And I know already this Crystal Clarity profile brings up a lot of the bass, so I'm going to bring that back about 3 dB, and then I'll bring down the treble as well, just sort of balance it out a little bit. And let's give that a listen here without the plugin, and then we'll check it out with the plugin.
A mother bird sat on her egg. The egg jumped. "Oh, oh," said the mother bird. "My baby."
Now let's check that out with RMPro.
A mother bird sat on her egg. The egg jumped. "Oh, oh," said the mother bird. "My baby will be here. He will want to eat. I must get something for my baby."
Alrighty. Yeah. You can see already, you can hear already the fullness that the RMPro brings out of the voice. It's it really adds sort of almost like that old school tape audiobook warmth in the tone there. But yeah, this is something you can get out of RMPro here. Is it's not just for music and mastering mixes, it can also be used for dialogue and audiobooks. Alright, so let's check out our third profile here called Power Punch. I'm going to go ahead and start with the plugin off, and I know this is this profile brings in a lot of level, so I'm going to bring down the output level about 5 dB, and then let's give it a listen. Let's see what the track sounds like here.
Look, yeah. All of y'all are booty. Y'all ain't whoopee, y'all ain't got the toolie. Bitch, them guns from Call of Duty. All y'all sorry shooting, bitch, this not.
Alright, pretty solid mix so far, but let's see if we can make it a little bit better. Let's check it out with ReMasterPro.
Look, yeah. All of y'all are booty. Y'all ain't whoopee, y'all ain't got the toolie. Bitch, them guns from Call of Duty. All y'all sorry shooting, bitch, this not a movie. Hey, yo, move, bitch, he won't do shit. So I watch the pussy, cock the Uzi, pop him duty, top him zoomies.
And you can really hear how the stereo enhancement brings out those spatial elements in the mix. It really enhances it, I think, especially on this track. I think this profile really does a lot to bring out the low end, give it some space, and add some punch to those, no pun intended, to those snares and the drums. It really adds a lot, this one. All right, let's move on to the next profile here. This one's called Balanced Depth. This is one that we thought was very accurately named. We felt like that was actually what it brought out in the mix. So let's check out this track here with the plugin off first. Let's see. All right, pretty beautiful ambient space. Acoustic guitar, really love the sound of that. Now let's check it out with Balanced Depth.
Precious than it used to be. I didn't realize till I had a reason to see.
Sounds really, really great. You can really hear how that reverb just is brought up and keeps that space and that ambience to the song and that special vibe that it really brought out. And you may have seen I brought the stereo enhancement actually down and brought it in tighter because sometimes it feels a little bit over exaggerated, and it gives you that control to sort of tame it and bring it back a little bit to what you actually want from the plugin. But yeah, overall you could really hear how clear the voice was, how it stood out, and the acoustic guitar and the rest of the mix was still so properly maintained, while added with that extra depth that it brings out with bringing the reverb up and all the sort of quieter elements that it had left behind before. Alrighty, and here our fifth and final profile, Rich Warmth. I have a experimental dubstep track here. We'll give it a listen, and through here to the build up and to the drop, and then we'll go back through and listen with rich warmth. This one I will be leaving the output ceiling at 0 because this is one of the profiles that actually does a good job of maintaining that level, so you're not going to have big level jumps when you turn remaster on and off. But let's give it a listen here. All right, pretty bassy. Let's check that out with ReMasterPro. You can really hear how that bass comes through so much stronger. The drum elements are a lot punchier, a lot harder, really, really transient. It sounds really good to me. I think that I love the way that this profile emphasizes the drum elements and some of the higher shimmer pieces as well. I think personally, one of my thoughts as I was listening to it was that maybe I would bring it back a little bit on the treble, but thought I would let it be for the time being because I thought it sounded good. Now let's check it out one more time with stereo enhancement. I'll jump ahead in the breakdown here. I can already see this rattling some cars at stoplights. You can feel it with the 12-inch subwoofers. I can already see it. Gotta have the good mix for the good master.
Hi, I'm Madeleine,
And I'm Clark.
and we're students at CRAS, the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences. We're here from the Studio E Broadcast Center to talk to you a little bit about ReMasterMedia Pro. So, Clark, how did you get introduced to ReMasterPro?
So a couple of months ago, one of our instructors at an AES meeting brought it out and sort of presented it to us, and actually allowed us to experiment and play with it during the meeting. And since then, we spent some time in smaller groups, sort of going back and forth, playing with the profiles, talking about what our experience was, and yeah, that was pretty much the intro. Was through AES.
And how's your experience been with the plugin so far?
Actually, pretty great. And I really, one of the things I've noticed is that I liked it more the more I've used it. At first, I was kind of like, oh, it's just one of these other one knob things or something like that. But it actually does add a lot. And the more I experimented with it and the more things I tried to run through it, the more I found it actually is really useful, and the more you can do with it. It's been great to experiment with. Where for your purposes of using the plugin, where have you found the most use for it?
So mastering is something that we're taught here at the conservatory, but I myself has not gotten to those classes yet. So it's really given me some insight into the mastering process and kind of like the nuances to that and what exactly it's going to add to my mix. Because before I came to CRAS and learned about professional audio, I would kind of, make my own music and try and mix it, but there would still be something missing. Like, it wouldn't sound, when you listen to professional music, and with this plugin, I think it kind of shows you what those elements are that are missing. Like, I would listen to something and be like, it doesn't sound as full or as wide, but I wouldn't know what to actually do to make my mix sound like that. And Remaster is kind of teaching me about that with the stereo enhancement and the different profiles that they have. So I've been really enjoying using it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the profiles do a really great job of giving you some sort of options to look at and sort of compare to as well. Like, not even just using them to sort of base coat a mix and just call it a day with that as your mastering chain, but sort of like introduce you to some types of tones and some different ways of treating a mix on the mastering level. I totally agree.
Exactly. So who do you think would benefit from using this plugin?
Honestly, I could see it being used in a lot of different places. I think for like bedroom beat makers who want to get their stuff out on like SoundCloud or Spotify or something, I think that would really be something that would sort of boost their mixes if they don't have a lot of experience. And then for if someone's like a professional tracking engineer or something and the artist wants a mix real quick, they could probably throw ReMasterMedia on their mastering chain for their artist mix just to give them a draft. And I mean, it couldn't be quicker to get that done. And for a professional environment like that, I think time really is money, and I think those folks would really benefit from a plugin like this.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the simplicity of the plugin. Everything's really easy to understand. All the parameters make sense, and there's profiles for any type of music that you would want to be mixing. So it's really easy to just throw it on the master and, just instantly make your mix a little bit better.
Couldn't agree more.
I'm super excited to keep messing around with this plugin and seeing what it has to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's got a lot, and as the updates come out in the future, I'm really looking forward to see what they do.
Yeah, me too.
All right, well, that's everything from us here at CRAS. Thank you all for joining us. I hope you learned something, and check out ReMasterMedia Pro. They've got some great stuff over there.